On this episode of the Wise Counsel Project, we conclude our interview with Jeff Foxworthy, comedian, actor, author, and host of Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader and the American Bible Challenge. Join us as Jeff provides wise counsel to men and women of faith.
Proverbs 13:20 says, "Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm." Yeah, you know, to me, and it's the same thing I've always told my kids. And one of the things my wife and I were always vigilant on was who our kids were hanging out with. And I started watching at an early age the kids whose parents called to make sure their kid was spending the night at your house. Are you going to be there? And the kids whose parents didn't call. And to me, that was always a red flag. If the parents didn't call to verify their kid was staying at your house, and I would go, we got to watch that one there, because somebody's asleep at the wheel over there at that house. And when you're asleep at the wheel, the kid's going to go the wrong way. But I always told my kids that the path of your life is going to be determined by who you hang out with. Pick good friends. But I would tell guys the same thing. You know, and I grew up, my dad left at an early age. My dad was married 6 times and had 500 girlfriends. And in fact, I was just sharing it with somebody. So, and what was weird was I then chose a career where I was on the road. I mean, the thing with comedy, you're in a different city every night.
Oh, it's the entertainment industry.
It's the entertainment industry, and a job where people elevate you. You know, knowing what you know about yourself, it just makes you laugh. But even like doing the blue collar tour, you know, we get to the end of the show and you go back and the guys will say, "Hey, we're going to go in the bar and have a beer. You want to come?" I don't think a beer's going to kill you. I will drink a beer. But here's what I knew. I knew from what I came from that if I went in there and had a beer and we were laughing and cutting up, I was probably going to have a second one. And if I had a second one, I might have a third one. And then if I had a third one and some good-looking woman came and sat down next to me and she looked good and she smelled good, I knew what I was capable of doing. And so I was like, you know what, guys, I'm just going to go to the room and order room service. Not because I'm better than you, not because I'm above you, but to me, I wasn't going to put myself in a situation where I might mess up this trust that I had at home. Because I am capable of doing that. Anybody's capable of doing that. But I saw the carnage of what happens when you break that trust. Right. I lived through the carnage of that multiple times. And so, because when you break that trust with their mom, you also break it with your kids. Your word's no longer good with your kids, and they were more important. So I'll go order room service and call home.
Now, one thing I know that you've done, that I've done here, my kids attend Greater Atlanta Christian School here in Atlanta. I know your kids came through here. I opened car doors, and I know you did that for years, and I did it so I could see not only who the kids were, they were interacting with my children, my daughters, but also the parents too.
Well, that's exactly, and like as a comedian, I always encourage people to go to the fair once a year, because it will make you feel better about your own family. When you think you have the craziest family on the planet, you get to the fair and you're like, no, we're okay.
Or it may confirm in my case.
Or it may confirm. But the car doors, because my wife would always say, oh, we need to clean the car out. And you go open car doors, and I'd go home and go, no, we're good. You should see some of the stuff I've seen in the back of cars. But, and here's the other thing it did for me, was it showed my kids serving other people. Mm-hmm. You know, that was always, kids watch what you do, and so it was always important to me to be serving somebody, especially somebody less fortunate.
Yeah.
You know, to look at them and go, you have no idea how blessed we are. You have no idea that people pay your stupid father as much money as they do to make them laugh.
Which is tough. My dad was a Methodist minister all over South Alabama, Northwest Florida, and we didn't have a lot growing up. And we always want more for our kids than what we had, but there's a fine line too.
There's a real fine line. You know, and it's funny, I grew up in a little town called Hapeville. We had a dirt yard. I mean, our landscaping, honest to goodness, was concrete blocks with monkey grass growing out of them on either side of the driveway. I look back and I think I had a great childhood. We had one toilet and no shower. I had a great childhood. I didn't know anything different. And we think it's about the stuff. It's never about the stuff. It's about the relationships. And that's kind of the secret to life. That's all it is. It's about those relationships.
Is that how you define success?
You know what? I heard somebody say this last year, and I thought it was great. The definition of success is when the people that know you the best are the people that have the highest opinion of you.
Wow.
And there's so many people that are good at putting on that front for the world, and then they go home and they're not good to their kids and they're not good to their wife. But if the people that know you the best are the people that go out and go, that's a great guy right there. That's success, and it has zero to do with money. You know, I was happy. I found cleaning out my office a few years ago, the little calendar book from the first year I was on the road. I did 406 shows, and I made $8,300.
Wow.
One of the happiest years of my life. And I was very lucky. When in the early and mid '90s, when I was in LA doing my sitcom, we filmed next to Roseanne. And Roseanne was the #1 show on the network. Roseanne was making $1 million a week, and she was miserable. Miserable, yelling at people, trying to run over people. And so I kind of got to just sit back and watch that and go, well, it ain't fame that makes you happy, because she's got the #1 show, and it ain't money. She's making $1 million a week. And I mean, it's not a dig on Roseanne, but it was like, if those are the things you're chasing, thinking, hey, if I make enough money or if I get famous enough, then things are going to be okay. They're not. That's not the thing. And so, you know, for me, that was kind of a good lesson, going, all right, if that doesn't do it, what does do it?
What is the greatest thing that you want to pass on to your kids?
You know, the first thing that comes to my mind is that Micah 6:8 verse, where it says to act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. And so that would be it, is humility. Be thankful. You know, and I was kind of dwelling on that this morning. The people that I've known in my life that you look at and you go, oh man, that's somebody I want to be like, or man, that's a happy person. Almost every single one of them is thankful. They have that air of gratitude about them. And so to me, I just try to start in my day going, thank you for this. Thank you, my kids are healthy today. Thank you, I had a place to sleep. Thank you that I had something to eat. And a lot of times it's exposing yourself to people that don't. You know, I mean, I've been lucky enough. I've been to Africa 4 or 5 times working over there in AIDS orphanages, and just seen poverty I had no idea existed. Yeah. If there was one street in the United States like that, we wouldn't accept it. But it goes on every day over there. And so when you see that, it makes you come back and think, as you're microwaving last night's leftovers, this would be the best meal
they would ever have.
That they would ever have in their life.
Right.
If you drive a car, you're in the top 5% of the world. If you take a shower, do you know there's hundreds of millions of people that never take a shower in their life?
Wow.
And so it's like, man, thank you. I get to wash this sweat off of me.
So if we can conclude with this, and I got to bring it back to the redneck jokes that you started. Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. Isn't it like the old, you might be a redneck if you hang around a bunch of guys that say, hey, y'all watch this?
Yeah, it's probably, you know, the great thing about the redneck jokes, there was no research going on. It was pretty much my family and friends, but somebody said to me, they said, you kind of took that from an insult to being a badge of honor, and I was like, well,
I guess
good, yeah.
Jeff, thank you.
Oh,
You're
bet.
a great man.
Yeah,
I appreciate all you do, and thanks for being with us on the Wise
Thank
Counsel
you for
Project.
having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Wise Counsel Project. If you enjoyed it, please consider rating us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. And for more information about the Wise Counsel Project, visit us on the web, wisecounselproject.com. You can also follow me on Twitter @Gary Martin Hayes. Thanks for listening, and God bless.